Dana White just announced 2 new UFC 300 fights. One of them I've been asking for. The other one I've been dreading. And the one that I've been dreading, my biggest nightmare has come true. It's the end of Max Holloway's career because he's booked to fight Justin Gaethje for 5 rounds for the BMF belt. That's the final nail in the coffin right there. And I'll explain to you why the BMF belt is really going to be the one that just adds insult to injury, guys. I mean, listen, this is the fight that I've been dreading. I made a video about a month and a half ago where I said that I think UFC 300 is going to disappoint. I think we're going to see a bunch of one-sided matchups or fights where, you know, the guys that are there are just over the hill. They're past their prime. They're not as exciting as they used to be. And one of the matchups that I put on my dreaded card, the one that I didn't want to see that I expected us to get, was this one, Holloway versus Gaethje, okay? I love Justin Gaethje on UFC 300. I love the BMF belt on 300, actually. Most of the time, I don't want to see it. I think the BMF belt is just totally cringy. It should have died in 2019 with Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. That's the one time it was cool. But I like the idea of a stand and bang slugfest on UFC 300. This should be a card that's about fan-friendly matchups, fan-friendly styles. Fun is first and foremost. I just hate that Max Holloway has to be a part of it, okay? What the fuck is Max Holloway doing, man? Taking some side quest when he's on the verge of getting a title fight at 145? He's still good. He's not over the hill. And he's going into a matchup with Justin Gaethje where even if he's able to land his shots and survive and not get KO'd, he's going to lose, man. Gaethje's just the bigger guy. Holloway's half-assing another move up. He's not taking this move up in weight class seriously. It's just another typical Holloway quick stint, side quest, let's move up on 3 months' notice and not actually take 6 months to a year to build ourselves up into a true lightweight frame, where he's not competitive when he ends up in these matchups, man. He could be because he's elite, but he's not big enough to compete with these guys with a 3-month training camp where he's just not cutting weight this time. This is not a serious commitment to 155. And right off the bat, that puts him at a disadvantage. And that's just annoying in the first place. And essentially, he's just biding his time and waiting around to see what happens with Volkanovski and Topuria. But the reason that sucks is because Topuria versus Volkanovski is 2 months before UFC 300. And Holloway has already won 2 fights since losing to Volk. He beat Arnold Allen. He beat the Korean Zombie. He's right there, man. He can step right into a title shot if Ilia Topuria beats Volkanovski. He could be fighting at UFC 302. You could make that in Spain. And Holloway's not going to be entering that matchup after taking a shitload of damage with Justin Gaethje. All right? That's the biggest issue here, man. Holloway still has a chance to become a champion, but this one is going to significantly decrease his chances. Okay? The other thing that I really hate about this fight, the one that I said in the beginning of this video, really puts the nail in the coffin, is the BMF belt. Because I think that Max Holloway is going to have some like gentleman's agreement with Justin Gaethje to stand and bang. And Dana White's going to be promoting this as a war. The casual fans, the most casual fans, are going to be thinking that they're in for an absolute terror fest. 5 rounds, 3,000 significant strikes apiece, when it's going to be one-sided, all right? As I said, the casuals think it's going to be a gnarly tooth-and-nail fought fight. But hardcore fans kind of understand that it may not be so competitive, actually, because both guys have changed their styles. Gaethje's just so much bigger. He's more powerful. At this point in his career, he's really hard to pin down. He's hard to hit. Holloway's also changed his style. This is not the Edgar cut Holloway. That's the marauder that moves forward no matter what, that points down to the canvas, punches himself in the face, and beckons his opponent on. This is the Max Holloway with a mustache and hair that's preparing for retirement, that also wants to get hit less, that's more keen to be on the back foot, throwing a lot of kicks, pepper jabs here and there. And so it's going to be a one-sided matchup if they stand and bang. Holloway's more likely to agree to this because it's a BMF title that's on the line. But, dude, I just want to see Holloway win, man. Gaethje's never going to be a champion. He's not going to beat Islam Makhachev. He's not going to beat Charles Oliveira. He's not going to beat Arman Tsarukyan. He may beat Arman, okay? He could beat Charles in a rematch, but it's unlikely that he gets past these guys that are good on the feet and also have the threat of the takedown because he sucks on the ground. And what I want to ask you guys is, listen, we're fans of both of these guys. Don't you just want to see Max Holloway try to win no matter what? I mean, isn't that exciting in and of itself? Especially because Max still has a chance to become a champion. A matchup with Max and Makhachev would be a fresh matchup. It'd be interesting. I think he loses, but you know what? I don't see Makhachev laying Max out. Makhachev doesn't have that much volume on the feet, and Holloway's good takedown defense. It's interesting. Makhachev versus Gaethje is just Khabib Gaethje part 2. All right? And as I said, another useless side quest where Holloway's just rushing, moving up to 55 to bide his time to see what happens, to wait and see what happens at 145. He's going to take a beating and then drop down to 145, where he'll have a much slimmer chance at getting that belt back because he won't be at his best. This could be a beating that changes him forever. So I just want to see Max go out there and try to win by any means necessary, which means I want to see him shoot takedowns. Okay? And I don't think he's going to. Because even though Gaethje's tough to take down, if Holloway bides his time, if he goes in there with the mindset of, let me just be defensive first, I'm going to wait for Gaethje to make a mistake, and then I'm going to try to take him down with something sneaky, rather than a powerful blast double leg or a single leg that's super obvious. I'm not going to go in there with a wrestling-heavy approach. If he does that, and he waits for Gaethje to overextend, maybe Gaethje throws a kick and he falls down afterwards, and Max can pounce on his back, all of a sudden he has the upper hand in grappling. He's in a dominant position, and we know how shitty Justin Gaethje's submission defense is on the ground. It's white belt level. I mean, look at how easily guys have cut through him on the ground. And Max Holloway, pretty good submissions on him. He submitted Cub Swanson. He submitted Andre Feely. Almost submitted the Korean Zombie, who has a good grappling game as well. Beat the crap out of Yair Rodriguez. If Holloway is able to take Gaethje down, he can win this fight. I just don't think he's going to actually try to go out there and win by any means necessary. I think he's just going to try to please the fans. But he's going to be mistaken. As I said, I think the people that are really fans of Max just want to see him fight a smart game plan. And he's going to fuck himself over big time and make the biggest mistake of his life. And even if he doesn't get finished, this is going to ruin his chances of becoming a champ at 145 again. He'll go on another weight cut. After taking a horrific beating, he'll fight Ilia Topuria, and he won't be at his best. I fucking hate this for Max Holloway, man. Yeah, I may sound a little bit biased, but I do care more about Max winning than Gaethje. If Gaethje loses, I mean, he's always going to be around for fun fights. They're both elite, but one guy still has a chance to get a belt back, to have that Cinderella story. And I think that could be Max. So why am I so confident, by the way, that Max loses this fight on the feet? Because you're probably wondering, well, Lucas, you're acting like it's a given. Okay, well, let me answer that. I don't necessarily think that Gaethje's just going to 50-40 Max Holloway and 10-8 him every round and drop him all over the place. I think that they're going to be going tit for tat, all right? But both guys, since they've changed their style up a little bit to be more defensively sound, to get hit less, they don't commit as much to like an offensive onslaught approach like they used to. Like Gaethje did when he was fighting... what's that guy? Michael Johnson, god damn it. Yeah, Michael Johnson. Remember before patient Gaethje showed up in the Tony Ferguson fight? He was the marauder. He would go forward and slug with guys. They call him Homer Simpson back then. Max Holloway was also similar to that. He would bide his time early, and then he would start heating up, and by the second and third round, he'd be walking his opponents down and just putting a beating of a lifetime on them, like he did to Calvin Kattar. But now Holloway's on the back foot, light on his feet, moving around laterally on the side of the octagon, kicking at range a little bit. And I think that because both of these guys aren't going to want to commit to like the downhill style of fighting that they used to, they're going to be going tit for tat. Shorter combinations, singular shots. And Gaethje's just going to land so much harder, man. And I don't think that Max Holloway is going to have a big effect on Justin Gaethje when he lands because he needs those 10-piece combinations. And even if he does try to put 10-piece combinations on Gaethje, he's going to catch a big counter shot where Gaethje's dipping his head, swinging a gnarly hook over the top, grunting as usual. Ah! You know, one of those classic Justin Gaethje grunts that we're used to seeing. And I think Gaethje's going to be landing like Rufus, all right? I brought up Rufus in my Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje video. That's like the mindset Gaethje gets into when he's throwing his shots. Like, you know, a guy that is missing a bit of a screw. He's, you know, just coming back from the mines. And he's pissed off and he's drunk, okay? I think Max is going to be getting lit up by Rufus levels of power in this one, okay? And, you know, I rewatched Justin Gaethje's fight with Dustin Poirier, and holy shit, did he look good, man. I don't remember him being that dominant. I remember recapping that fight and saying, Gaethje shut down Poirier. That's crazy. He was outboxing him. I rewatched that fight the other day, and Dustin could not hit him for the life of him, man. He just couldn't touch Gaethje's chin. And Gaethje's speed looked the best it's ever been, okay? And I saw Dustin doing all of his nervous ticks, the head switch, or whatever you want to call that, the head bop, all right? Doing the salon hair, putting his hand through his hair, pulling up his pants, just trying to get into the zone. He was pissed off. He would get hit. He would snub his nose and do one of the snorts that he does. And every single time he did it, he would just miss bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's the fastest I've ever seen Justin Gaethje look. So I don't think that Max Holloway is going to have the speed advantage in this fight. Listen, I know that Holloway is the skinnier guy that's coming up from the lighter weight class, and he had the speed advantage over Calvin Kattar, but don't compare Calvin Kattar's level of striking or style of striking to Justin Gaethje's. Calvin Kattar's like the guy that plods forward and chucks a 1-2. Chucks a 1-2. All right, that's basically Calvin Kattar. Justin Gaethje, I mean, just imagine someone throws a baseball past your head and you can hear it whistling by, or a boulder on a chain passing your head and you can hear it whistling. That's like what it's like to fight Justin Gaethje if you get out of the way of one of those shots. You can hear that shit swirling by. Max Holloway's the guy that needs to put it on you. He needs to land all that volume. He's fast, but he's not as fast as Arnold Allen. Allen took a couple of rounds off of him. Allen had the speed advantage. Yair Rodriguez had the speed advantage. Alexander Volkanovski had the speed advantage. Holloway's not the fastest guy, all right? He is pretty fast. He's one of the fastest guys. He's obviously, you know, at the top for a reason, but Gaethje's faster and he's more explosive and he hits harder. He's super defensively sound. He still has a pretty decent chin. And the only way Holloway wins on the feet is if he knocks Gaethje out, because I don't think he's going to go in there like the Edgar cut Holloway of old and just point down to the canvas and slug with Gaethje until he lands his shots. And when Max does get hit, even in the Poirier fight, when he gets hit by a guy that has a lot of pop, like, he's not just going to sit there in the pocket and take it. He will back up. Like, I've seen Holloway get caught off guard and Poirier cracked him in their rematch and Holloway, you know, almost fell down, but the fence saved him. Like, it's, even though he has a good chin, he's not immune to getting dazed in his fights. And I think that Gaethje's just going to put a horrific amount of damage on him. And it's going to take a toll on Max throughout the 5 rounds, whereas Holloway's damage and the shots that he's landing is not going to take a toll on Gaethje, and so Gaethje will be fresh throughout the majority of the fight. And Holloway won't shoot takedowns to try to please Dana White and all the casual fans, even though casuals aren't really tuning in that much to a Max Holloway fight. People that watch Holloway fights are always watching the UFC. We just want to see Holloway win. I want to see him shoot a takedown, bide his time, sneak one in there, get a submission, because that's his chance to win, but he won't. And he's going to take a horrific amount of damage. He's going to move down a weight class, and he's probably going to look the worst he's ever looked at 145 after the beating that he's about to receive. So I just hate this move for Max. I think he should have been more patient. I hope the UFC is offering him a massive payday for this one, because otherwise I don't think it's worth it. On the verge of a title shot at 145. Should have just waited to see what would happen with Volkanovski and Topuria. All right. Man, I just don't like this. The other matchup that was booked was Bobby Green and Jim Miller. That's the fight that I've been asking for. I'm excited to see that one. Bobby Green definitely has the striking advantage, the speed advantage, but his chin, it's susceptible. And Jim Miller is pretty damn durable at this point in his career. That's a guy that hits very hard, still has some speed and explosiveness in him. So I think Miller is actually going to knock Bobby Green out, but I hope that we see a good version of Green that can take a punch, that will at least go to a decision. I'm hoping for a decision. All right. I think that Miller could be able to take Green down, but I don't think he's going to actually do it. So most likely it's going to be a stand-up battle. It should be a good fight. It should be a feel-good matchup where we see two legends coming in. They'll probably get a big ovation. Miller may even retire, even though I don't think he's going to. And maybe Bobby Green retires if he loses. Either way, it's going to be a fun build-up to that one. I'm sure Green's going to have a lot of respect for Miller. He's going to have a phenomenal interview on Media Day. I'm looking forward to another Bobby Green interview. And I hope that they do a press conference with all of these guys on one stage. All 20 people on this card, I hope they do a press conference with them. That's what I really want to see. Let's hope that the UFC can add a couple of guys that are going to talk shit, though, because I don't think Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, and Max Holloway are going to be talking a lot of smack. But either way, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm worried for Holloway. I think this is a terrible decision, and this could be the fight that ruins his career. Again, we saw Tony Ferguson take a horrific beating off of Justin Gaethje, and he was never the same. Granted, Holloway is not 37 like Tony was when he fought Gaethje, and I think that Tony was already declining, whereas Holloway isn't declining yet, but he is changing his style up, and I don't think that this style that Max Holloway fights with these days is as good for a Justin Gaethje matchup. So, yeah. He should have waited. Should have waited on Topuria to beat Volk, because I think Topuria will beat Volkanovski. So, anyway, until next time.